Alright, so scrolling through the good old Facebook page for my company. The drivers have a hold on 1 second here. Got to throw the boots up front. Drivers have a closed group on Facebook, and we discuss all kinds of stuff in there. Let's see if that works. That works a little better. Sort of. I don't know. And we got this closed loop group, and someone had said, how did they phrase it? Where did I put my phone here? God dang it. I just had it a second ago. What are you talking about? Oh yeah, it's up here. It's somewhere in here. I don't know. Basically, the gist of it was, I believe it was something to the effect of, will I get penalized if I show up at the consignee? Yeah, here it is. Will I be penalized for getting to receiver the night before, but unable to start my clock at the scheduled arrival time? And that got my brain thinking, because I have done that before, where the load is so tight that you can't make the appointment time on time unless you sleep there and you don't start your clock in the morning. And that's illegal, technically. But usually it's like by a half hour, maybe an hour at max. I mean, I'm never like running in there at like 3 in the morning and then at 7 I gotta unload. Like, it's never anything like that. But basically, it got my mind thinking on the tips and tricks to making more money. And that is one of them. Now, I have heard, and these are all going to be theoretical, these are just things that I've heard. My truck is run completely legal. There's no messing about. There's no doing anything strange. There's no, like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic, so I'm going to take my 30-minute break right here. None of that type of stuff. But, this is stuff that I've heard. And I mean, some of it is perfectly legal. You can just do it. But the number one thing is doing something like that, where you sleep at the shipper or consignee, and, like, let's just say, for example here, you're running up in there, and it's like, we'll just say it's like 10 o'clock at night and you have an appointment at 7. You're not going to be able to technically make it if you were to run by the book, but if you got there, you got there. And a lot of people say that if you just stay in the sleeper while you're there, your appointment time's at 7, and I mean, an average unloading time for my company at least is like 2 hours, 3 hours. If you have like a 4-hour unloading process, it's kind of strange. So things get done fairly quickly, and I think it probably has something to do with detention rates, surely, but we don't really see much of that money. But surely it has something to do with that. And basically the concept behind that, staying in the sleeper like that, is you're going to have to pick up another load that day, and it's guaranteed that they're going to take 2-3 hours to do that as well. And if we're just shooting high side here and say that it's 3 hours apiece, that means that you burn 6 hours off of your 14-hour clock, which means you only have 8 hours to run, which means you're going to have about a 400-mile day if you want to average at 50 miles an hour, which is what I do, because generally that's a fairly accurate average as to what I run. If I do If I go faster than that, that's fine, but sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's longer, but that's a good average to go by. Basically, you can get 400 miles in that day. If you were to, hypothetically, sleep at the shipper and not go on duty in the morning, save yourself that 3 hours, and then you only get your 3 hours at the other place. Now, you still have the full 11 hours to drive, which means theoretically you could get 550 miles out of that day if everything goes alright. And I mean, today, how many? Oh, I have mad hours left. Anyways, I thought I had sort of like matched up my 14 and 11, but didn't. Almost got 500 miles, but I guess I still have like 2 hours left on my 11-hour clock. I mean, this is all industry speak, so if you don't speak it, you're not really going to get it, but it's not really for you. Another one of the tips is, are you driving your full shift? And this is one that took me probably 3 months to figure out. When you're in training, they always tell you to run in 8.5-hour day, because if you do that, that means throughout the week you will run, I believe it's like 66 and like 66 and a half, or 66 on the dot. I have no idea. It was like somewhere close to your 70-hour. You would finish that whole thing out if you just ran 8.5-hour days every single day. Now, basically, and we can do the math that I did myself, and I know that this is not possible to just have days where you straight run and that's all you're doing. That's not realistic, but that's how I did the math. Because obviously you've got unloading time, you've got loading time, and you got to log all of that. So it kind of cuts into all of that, but we're going just as if you were driving. So let's say we got 8.5 hours times 50, because we're going to average at 50 miles an hour, because that's what I always do. That means you got 425 miles for that day. Now, if you did your full 11-hour day at 50 miles an hour, that means you got 550 miles for that day. And this is all in theory. Sometimes traffic gets in the way, you get less than what you're supposed to. Sometimes the roads are wide open and you can clock a 600 and something mile day, and I believe I've done that maybe once or twice only. It's very rare, but I think I clocked like a 622 one day, which was strange. I couldn't believe it happened. But basically off of that, got you 425 miles a day times 7. That means you're getting 2,975 miles for that week. That's if you wake up in the morning and you just run, and there's nothing else to do, you're just driving. Now, doing it the other way, you can only run, is it 6? Yeah, it's 6. Because you got your 70-hour clock, and if you were just straight running, and you got 11 hours in the day, that would mean that on your 6th day, you would have on your 6th day, you would have to take a reset at the end of that day, which in theory would be like you ran Monday to Saturday, and then you have a drop off on Monday, so you can get your reset in at the end of the day. But you got 550 miles for every day that you could run, times 6 is 330 miles. So that means, as compared to running the 8.5-hour day, you are essentially screwing yourself out of a full day that you could have gotten paid for. I mean, actually, I should have remembered those numbers, to be completely honest. What was like 330 to 290, 297.5, something like that. It's like 325. So it's like 100 miles short of another full day of running. If you ran the 8.5 hour day at 50 miles an hour, all theoretical, but basically that is the reality of it, is that if you are running those 8.5 hour days like they tell you, yeah, you can run all around the entire, you can run week round, and that's kind of what they want you to do. And I mean, it's understandable that they want you to do that, but you can still move. In theory, you could move more freight for your company just running the 11-hour days than you could running your like 8.5 hour days. Because more miles for you means more miles for the company and more freight that's been moved throughout the entire week. The other one is the time that you're in the sleeper. And this is one that I used to be very, very picky about. And I would always run it to the point where, I would wind my clock back to about midnight, and then I wouldn't be able to wind it back any further. Otherwise, I would be showing up places at like 5 in the morning, and it wouldn't make any sense because I was running the 8.5 hour days. But the thing with the sleeper is you only have to be in the sleeper for 10 hours to be legal. And you could stay in there longer if it's your personal preference or whatever you want to say it is. Basically, you can kind of do whatever you want with it, and I'm sure if you set it up a certain way with your dispatcher, say like, oh, just plan for me to be in the sleeper for 12 hours, and just schedule me around a 12-hour sleeper reset situation, the 10-hour reset. You could probably do that, but if you run that 10-hour reset to a T, and we're saying that go run him perfect, like you were before, straight 50 miles an hour, there's no one slowing you down, and you're just running. This is all theoretical. It doesn't work like that in real life, but that's basically the concept behind it, is you can start to roll your clock back, and basically you're clocking more miles in a shorter amount of time. So, well, actually, we could probably do this by hand. Let's just say you're doing the 11-hour days. You're getting 550 miles every day, and you have that freight coming around all the time. Whenever you're ready, it's there, and it's already on your trailer somehow, and you're good to go. Basically, if you run that 550 mile day, 11 hours, start at 7. That means you end at 6. Next day you can wake up at 4. Keeping on with that. 7 to 7 would be 12. 7 to 6 is 11. 6 to 4 is 10 hours. So that means 4 to 3 the next day. So we're on, I should probably write this down right here. I'm going to forget what day we're on here. Alright. So we're on Monday. We ran 7 to 6. Next day, we woke up 4 o'clock, ran till 3. That means the next day, on Wednesday, you can wake up at 1 and run. Hold on, let me redo that. 7 to 6, 4 to 3. Yeah. So you can run 1 o'clock till noon. Now when you're there, the next day, you can wake up 10 o'clock at night. 10 o'clock at night, and you can run all the way until 9 in the morning. Now, at that point, you can wake up 7 o'clock at night and run until 6 in the morning. So that means on Saturday, you're shutting down at 6 in the morning. So how does that play into what's going on? That means that by the time, is it Sunday or is it Monday? 24 hours, 6 o'clock. So that means by the time 4 o'clock Sunday night comes around, you're ready to run. As compared to the guy who just ran 7 to 6, 7 to 6, 7 to 6. What did I say that number was? 6? Yeah, 6 to 6 to 4. So 4 in the afternoon. 4 in the afternoon on Sunday, you're ready to roll. And that means that you can drive all the way until 2 in the morning on Monday. And that's before the other guy has ever even, he's still sleeping at, that whole period. He's doing his 34-hour reset. Well, yours has already been done, and you're running again. You already ran a full day, and you're ahead of him by that much. So basically, you can fit more freight into a week just by doing that. And it just starts to add up in ways that you would not believe. And I mean, for me, I stopped doing it because my company just didn't seem to have freight that would keep me moving through the weekend. The weekend became a real issue. Essentially, I would make it all the way to the weekend, and then on the weekend I would have to shut down Sunday morning, and I wouldn't be able to deliver until 7 o'clock on Monday. So there was no, the miles just weren't there, and you just couldn't, and at the time I was running 8.5-hour days, so I could run every single day through the week. So it's kind of frustrating, the fact that I had to sit the whole of Sunday anyways. So I stopped doing that, but that is something that in the future I'd like to get back to. Let's see, what did we cover? Full drive shift, 10-hour, and sleeping at the shipper. Those three right there, those are about the three that you want to get to. Another piece to this puzzle is having good driver stamina as well. And basically this means not if you're in flatbed like I am, you have to stop every 3 hours to do your safety check. I believe it's every 3 hours or 150 miles, whichever comes first. That's when you have to stop. So you basically can't do anything about that, which does kind of suck, but you don't want to be stopping in between those 3 hour points. Don't want to do that because it's wrecking your fuel mileage. And basically, if you stop at all, I mean, maybe we're not talking crazy. If you got to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, obviously. But if you're stopping for lunch, just in the middle of whenever, I mean, if you're taking a 30-minute break, I mean, yeah, that obviously makes sense, but it's got to be 30 minutes. Being good with your log, that's basically what this comes down to, is understanding what the computer wants you to do in order to be legal, and basically adhering yourself to that. So basically you're turning yourself into a computer, which is kind of sad to say, but that's essentially what you're trying to do, is get in sync with that computer, because it is your moneymaker, and it's your friend, but it can also screw you over. And if you ran in somewhere and forgot to click yourself into off duty, then potentially you could be wasting minutes or hours depending on how much time you're screwing around. I mean, I never got that way with doing what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't really understand the the idea behind just like stopping and like I don't know what people do, but apparently this is a thing where people just kind of stop and like look around and, oh, look at the pretty trees, and oh, I'm gonna take a picture of that mountain, and I'm gonna go, walk down this hill. I mean, it's like a smell in the roses thing, and like you're not, like no one is out here to smell the roses. We're here to smell the money, and the money is right over there, behind the steering wheel, and it's not. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of time for fun. That's basically what I'm saying. If you're going to come out here and you're looking to see the country, like they always say, oh, go, get trained, get a career, and make, $50,000 a year and see the country. Yeah, you're going to see the country, but you do not want to be seeing it on foot. You want to be seeing it at 62 miles an hour, because that means you're making money while you're seeing it. And that's a whole lot better than just wandering through the woods like a frickin' Momo. And I feel like there's no sense in that. But that's about it. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of little tricks that are out there that just take seat time and communication to figure out. Like having other friends that are drivers, that sometimes helps. Like prime example of that would be in Chicago, you can take either the 94 and go straight through Chicago, or you can take the 294 and go around Chicago. And what I always did was I would just follow my GPS to a T. And whatever it said, that's what I was doing. And it's obviously the way that your company wants you to do it. And it's more than likely, basically what I thought it came down to was the fact that they were like trying to miss tolls, basically. They were trying to just duck tolls for that day. And they did it at a different spot near Chicago too, where they wanted you to run down this weird highway that had all kinds of stoplights, and I never ever take that anymore because who's that helping? Who's it really helping? Like it can't be helping either of us get anything done. So very rarely will I do that. But now when I go through Chicago, I always just take the 294 because one of my friends who's a trucker, he basically told me that's like the way around Chicago is just the 294, and I don't think I had taken it many times, so I didn't really know what the heck it was, and I didn't really know where the heck it went, and I just wasn't sure, am I gonna end up in the right spot, or am I gonna be lost and looking like an idiot? And that did take getting a map out, which some people, I guess, can't do. I've never met them, but apparently some people don't know how to read a map, which doesn't make any sense. But I mean, that was one of those things. And it used to be that getting through Chicago was about an hour or two long episode, and of course it could carry on forever. Like that sort of stuff just happens. Like you just get caught up in any type of traffic, and if there's an accident, you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, I wish there was a way around this. And then I found the way around it, and I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. So basically, I mean, that's most of this stuff is just seat time and thinking it through and using your brain and talking to other people, because sometimes they have better ideas than you do, and you like stuff that you didn't even think about. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of tips and tricks for everything, but I don't know. I figured I'd cover this one first and let it loose. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here, go to sleep, get my 10-hour reset in, stick to it, and yeah, I will catch y'all on the next one. So have a good day. Bye bye.